Tottenham finally broke their curse, and then got worse. You think winning a European trophy would calm a club down? They ended a 17-year drought with that Europa League win in Bilbao. Open top bus parade, fireworks, the whole new era vibe. This was supposed to be the moment the joke stopped and the project finally became real. But fast forward a few months, and you're left wondering if their game against Fulham was a social experiment and how quickly a fan base can implode. They concede twice in the first 6 minutes, and then it gets weird. Every time Vicario touches the ball after that, you can hear it. Boos and groans that only a traumatized fan base can produce. The manager? He comes out after the game and basically says,
I didn't like how the fans reacted on that. I think they booed at him straight after.
So now it's not just Spurs versus Fulham, it's Spurs fans versus their own goalkeeper. It's the manager versus parts of the fan base. I don't think this is just Spursy. I think there's a bigger pattern here that's been building for years. And honestly, it bothers me. Everyone keeps blaming curses and ignoring the actual cycle the club is stuck in. This is the most expensive stadium in Europe. You've watched this club cycle through meltdown after meltdown all year. You're angry. But here's the thing. Every boo in that moment isn't just expressing frustration. It's actively making the team worse. And it's not just one match. Think about the last decade or so of Spurs. Pochettino sells the project better than anyone. Young squad, Champions League final, the famous quote about pain and project. Fans buy in. And then, instead of backing that project when it hits the painful part, the club pivots. So Mourinho comes in, then Conte, then Postecoglou, who finally ends the trophy drought by winning the Europa League, and still gets sacked because the club finished 17th. So what do they do next? They go back to the word project. They lean into young players, talk about structure, talk about identity, talk about time. Thomas Frank is pitched as this new age coach. And the fans, understandably scarred by years of nearly moments and false dawns, treat every wobble like proof that this project is just another lie. They watched this club turn their loyalty into a business model. This is a fan base that sings about mentality, about passion, about fighting for the shirt, and then boos its own keeper 6 minutes into a game. Not at full time. 6 minutes. And here's the uncomfortable bit. The club knows this tension sells. Being the club where something always explodes keeps Spurs in the conversation even when they're mid-table. I get why fans are furious. Ticket prices are insane. Results are erratic. Decisions from the board often feel like they're made by people who care more for Beyonce concerts than building a title-winning squad. But booing your own keeper mid-game isn't a protest. It's self-sabotage. Now I can already hear the response. Fans pay the money, they have the right to boo. And honestly, they do. If you lose 10 home games in a year, you're going to hear it. But timing matters, direction matters. Boo at halftime, fine. Boo at full time, fair enough. Make banners, walk out early, chant against the board. That's pressure with a target. Booing an individual player during live play repeatedly, that's not holding standards. That's emotional self-harm dressed up as passion. And this is not uniquely a Spurs problem, by the way. You see versions of this at a lot of big clubs. The difference with Spurs is that this behavior isn't happening in isolation. It's happening on top of 2 decades of narrative about bottle jobs, nearly men, and being Spursy. So when Vicario makes that mistake, the fans have watched the board bail on every single project, so they jump straight to anger at the first sign of trouble. It's not tactics, it's not just form, it's the collapse of an identity. It reinforces the idea that Tottenham can only exist as a soap opera. So next time Spurs go 1-0 down early at home, watch what happens. Not just on the pitch, but in the stands. Watch how quickly the body language drops. And if they lose, watch what happens after the whistle. Do they clap for the fans? Do the cameras immediately look for the drama because they know Spurs will give it to them? Because that's the real test of whether this club is changing.